Hello, my name is Jennifer Zdriluk. I'm a lawyer in the Human Rights and Employment Department at Ross McBride, and I'm here to speak to you today about issues and items to look for when you're starting a new job or starting employment. So we all know that starting a new job is often a time of excitement, a little bit of anxiety or nervousness, as you go into either a new workplace or a new pursuit. And there's lots of talk out there with lawyers about what happens when you're terminated. But what I wanted to spend a few minutes on today is what to look for going into the relationship. These days, most employers, be they a family-owned business or a large national corporation, are using some sort of document that they call the hiring document. And what we mean by that is I go in, I do my interview or interviews, and then I'm the person picked for the job. Typically these days, I'll get a call or an email advising me that I'm the successful candidate, and then it'll be followed up by an offer. They'll say, you'll get our offer. And usually that initial sort of notification that you've got the job is followed up with the information that their formal offer or their offer letter will be coming to you. And so you'll get that offer letter and, most of us, our eyes go to the things that we were interested in or we negotiated. What's the salary? What are my benefits? What are my hours of work? Those types of things. The first thing we see often is a paragraph or a line or two in that letter about what happens if you're terminated. And these few sentences that sometimes may seem benign or not important at the time we're walking into a great new adventure or a great new position can have some significant impacts on your rights if you're terminated. Even if you're not terminated for cause, many positions out there are non-unionized. And so you can be terminated, with some exceptions, from those positions, not for doing anything wrong. And so in those cases, you want to make sure that you're not limited or otherwise unduly constrained by those few sentences that you'll see in that offer letter. And again, don't be fooled by the common language. Although it's not in anyone's expectations at this time that you will be terminated, just in case it happens. Take a read and look and see if it tells you what happens if you're terminated. For people in creative fields or people who are developing products, you'll often see in those early days, either in your offer letter or in a subsequent agreement, an agreement that assigns the rights of anything that's created to the company. And there's reasons for that. And in some cases, it's totally appropriate for those to be in there. But make sure you understand what you're agreeing to and how that will play out. For example, artists. I've had a number of people in the artist or visual art or a sort of multimedia field who need to have a portfolio. If I've signed an agreement that says everything I do at company A is theirs and I can't show it to anyone else as part of my portfolio, how's that going to affect my career trajectory and what I can do and market myself going forward? There's often provisions you'll see about no competing or outside work while you're employed without the company's permission. Again, there's plenty of good reasons for that. But if you're someone who has a second part-time job, for example, in this economy, or a passion that you do as employment part-time outside of the workplace, read that and make sure it's something you can agree to. And if not, is it something that the prospective employer or your new employer will negotiate with you? Bonuses. We spend a lot of time where people say, I came over to company ABC because they said that although my salary was X, I'd at least double that in commissions or bonuses. That may have been very well true when they made that representation, but you're not going to be able to enforce that unless there's a very clear bonus plan or commission plan sort of set out and agreed to. Unfortunately, gone are the days, in many cases, at least as I see as a lawyer, where you can go in on a handshake and a hope. And then finally, and this almost sounds redundant, but make sure that initial agreement has everything in it that you bargained for. These days, we're most frequently seeing people who say, well, when I went to this company, they said I could work from home. And I live an hour and a half away. And, I've done it for 3 months, but now they're saying I have to be in the office. You're going to have some difficulty. It's not impossible, but your life's been made a lot more difficult if you don't have it in writing as part of that original agreement that you will be permitted to work from home Fridays or 2 days a week or something like that. If a certain vacation period is important to you, get that in writing. If a certain office location is important to you, the company may have 3 or 4 locations, but, again, you don't want to go to the Ajax location. You want to stay here in Hamilton. Look for those types of things in the contract, including provisions that say things like, we can change your place of work, or you will travel throughout our offices. Often, if you agree to something up front, that's what you're stuck with later on. And these changes don't frequently happen immediately. It's people coming to see me, 9 months, 3 years later when suddenly, well, that's not what we agreed to. So take your offer, read your offer. The company, if they've had any sort of legal advice, doesn't want it back immediately. And I don't think you look like a bad employee or not anxious if you don't sign it back immediately. Take time to read it. If you need advice, get that advice. And then make sure you start the relationship on a good foot. And that excitement and optimism will hopefully carry you through many, many years with the company.